Well, good morning everybody. I wanted to do a quick little story time, kind of showing you how I almost killed our entire garden and all of our potted plants. And it all kind of starts with that hose right there. So it all started out when I noticed a lot of our plants, especially our potted plants like the basil, started getting yellow. No matter how much water I put on it, that almost makes it sound like I was like overwatering it, which I originally thought was the issue. So then I kind of watered it less. We even got some rain gauges in the garden and next to the plants just to make sure the rain wasn't adding too much water. But after going through that little bit, knowing I was watering them correctly, then I was thinking maybe something with the soil. So we actually ended up getting one of these like soil testing kits. We could put a link to something like this. I got this from Walmart. I just happened to be passing it in the garden section. Our soil checked out good, so I'm like, man, what is going on? Maybe it's something with our water, because we are on well water. And so this is where the issue came from. If you notice, it might be a little hard to see, but we got a hose plugged into it. Where is it? Oh yeah, so there's our main coming in from our well. Goes through here, through the pressure tank, all that stuff. That hose right now is what we are using on the garden. So that's another thing. Goes through, you can hear it doing something right now, but it goes through this whole mess of everything, then out, around, up, and then out the wall. And we were just standing on the stairs right there, looking at the hose right there. So I've been using softened water on the garden and the potted plants all this time. Now, it probably is almost common knowledge for some people, and even though I kind of knew softened water wasn't good, I didn't know our house was plumbed in. Oh geez. Where'd the big one go? Hey buddy. Alright, I'll go catch them and corral them upstairs later. So even though it's kind of well known not to use softened water, our issue was I never really took the time to see if that hose was plumbed in after the water softener. So it's kind of strange, and that's kind of why I just never thought about it. But it's been about 2 weeks since I've switched to just straight well water, or we do have an osmosis drinking water filter that I fill this container up with and water all the potted plants right here. So it's pretty crazy. Look at the basil. So all the new growth, see how much greener it is than all the older growth? It sticks out a lot on this plant. You can just see the difference. And I wanted to do it now because almost all the old growth is like yellowed and died off, but the new growth, nice and green. I didn't repot it, I didn't do anything. Just switched the water. Same thing with our parsley. You can see the new growth, new growth, new growth, and then the old stuff. You can see how much like yellow or even like dead it is. Again, didn't repot anything. Carrots have actually been kind of doing okay. Maybe it has to do with them being a root vegetable and not as much water uptake, maybe. But you can see how our tomato plants, some of the old growth is just, see how they're just kind of yellow? But then like new growth, look at like this new piece next to like some of the old stuff. And then last one is our our spaghetti squash that I planted from a seed. So the oldest leaf on this little plant, little baby plant, is this one. You can see how terrible that leaf looks. Second oldest is this one, and this is around about when I started changing the water. And then look at the size of the new leaves, nice and green, huge. This thing's growing awesome now. So they were all started getting watered with osmosis water. That hose going out of the window comes up right here for now. I'll eventually replumb it in. But our huskies, so you can see how like they were looking kind of poor, but some of the new growth is coming in. And like this whole cluster right here popped up in the last like 2 weeks with a bunch of them on it. So yeah, I never would have thought that the water would have been that bad for everything. So I'm glad I kind of caught it when I did, you know, huge lesson learned. I know we kind of pointed out that, you know, we're gonna share our mistakes with you just as well as like the good stuff. So yeah, a little bit of a long story just to say, don't use softened water. If you know better, make sure your house is plumbed in to use straight well water. So hopefully this kind of helps you guys out. You know, if you want to, you know, see what other mess ups we do and figure out and share with you guys, please subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next one.